like what is the solution, how we actually do it. So we're starting, each one of us, we came into this human experience as a star, let's call it, like undisturbed, like unfiltered, with some gifts, with the pure intention, right? Like spirit coming to this human experience. And we were whole, right? Like it's not filtered or distorted, but with and we remember this intention, right? Even unconsciously, our soul wants to get here. But what happened, even through birth, through childhood, through different traumatic experience, we started to contract. Our needs were not fulfilled. We felt pain in our emotional body, so we closed our hearts, we closed our, and we developed the ego, the protector. We developed different limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. I didn't receive attention from mother or father. I'm not going to go now into details, but we developed an ego, a personality, right? Which its main purpose is to protect us from experience that pain. So we grow up with this and we actually reinforce more and more those beliefs. I'm not powerful, I don't belong, I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, and so on. So we live our lives from this identity, from this personality, and we match the what I'm supposed to do. Safe to be an accountant, to do a doctor, whatever, to have this relationship. So we're living life not as a reflection of who we truly are, but as a reflection of our identity, of our ego, of our personality. So we match and we attract in our lives persons, circumstances, career, and so on, which match this identity. But our soul is calling us all the time to wholeness. It's always calling us back home to full expression. This is the place, the initial intention with which we came on this human experience to express. So, what is happening now in this period of humanity is that more and more people are awakening, and are more and more people are awakening and are hearing more and more the call of the soul. So the in the same time, the old limitations are coming up more and more to the surface, right? So um, even in Bali, like the first part of this year, I stayed in Bali for a couple of months, and even there, meeting conscious people, we had these beautiful meetings, and people very open and open-hearted and sharing. We had and I met many more people, like a girl from France, one from Czech Republic, at the same meeting, both sharing. I feel like it's something wrong with me. The other one later on, the same. And this relates also with an experience of mine I had a few years back. Like, like I was a workshop junkie and trying to heal myself, all the modalities, all the processes, and so on, like having this feeling that it's something wrong. And only when I heal myself or be whole, I will be able to share, to help others, and so on. And I remember maybe 4 years ago or more, like I was attending this workshop where we were discussing the limiting beliefs, not good enough, and what is the compensation mechanism, right? Because for each one, like I'm not good enough, the compensation mechanism will be to prove, to earn money, to have a good career, to have a lot of diplomas, and so on, right? And I would recognize myself in all of them, this and that. And I remember I was on the beach after the session, and I thought, how is this possible? Like after all these years, and I felt like I was making progress, but still, this is still going on. This is still going on. And I remember at the moment I started laughing with tears, like I couldn't stop it, like hysterical laughter for maybe 10 minutes. I couldn't stop. Like, what a joke, what a lie, what a what my ego got me into this never-ending loop of healing, of trying to improve, to grow. And that moment was the moment when I fully accepted myself as I am, imperfect, with all these flaws, with everything. And that was the moment when a lot of shifts happened in my life. Like before, as I was sharing also with my friend, the focus most of the time is on what is not working, right? Because we have this um, personality, and we're hiding the. We're not uh, uh, welcoming the shadows because we think it's something wrong, right? So. Um, that moment was the thing that changed everything, because and to realize what is the solution, we have to understand that there's nothing wrong with us, that we are whole, and we need to return to who we truly are, to our true essence. Does it make sense for you, this? Is anybody else trying to follow this path of never ending healing loops? Yes, yes. Good. So So what is then the true solution? Because we saw that if we're trying to solve this problem, I don't have these clients, I don't have, it's not working, I don't have clarity. We're actually on a certain timeline. This is uh, the thing. This universe, this quantum field, is the place of all possibilities, where all possibilities exist. So in this quantum field, there is this version of ourselves that we are currently identifying with, because our consciousness is caught in this. Our identity and the anchor, this is the key point to remember. Our identity, which is the sum of our beliefs, our emotions, of our energy, how we behave, how we, habits, and so on, who we think we are, is the anchor to this timeline, which is one of the multitude, infinity of possibilities in the quantum field of the on the universe, which are all pre-exist. We don't have to create them; they're already pre-existent. But in this quantum field, it's this version of ourself which is the higher self, which is unique to us, which is our spark, I call it, which is our true identity, which is already pre-existent, who is living already our soul mission, what we came here to do, what we came here to embody, what we came here to live, to share, to um, relate, to co-create, and so on. So the true solution, it's actually shifting our timeline from this version, not trying to heal ourselves more and more, but now choosing this version of ourselves, because we have this capacity, and it is our right actually to do that. You'll learn more about, are you familiar with quantum field, quantum creation, timelines? We'll have more in the workbook, more on this. Um, if you want to study a little more how this works, because it's fascinating, and the conscious minds need some understanding on this. We're not going to go now too much into it, but it's important to understand it. Yeah, yes. So I want to just give you a short story before we do the activation. Um, as I said, many years ago when I started, 2012, I wanted to give seminars. I was, for some years, I was personal development junkie, going to all the workshops and so on, and I wanted to start to do trainings, seminars, public speaking, only that it was one of my biggest fears, like even bigger than the fear of death. They say it's the second. For me, I guess it was the first. I was trembling all the time. I was suffocating when I was about to give a speech and so on. Very shy, very timid person. a lot of huge emotions. So I was going to Toastmasters, to some support group, starting giving some small presentations, or every time terrible, a lot of emotions and so on. At some point, I went to a public speaking course, and at the graduation, we was held in a five-star hotel with 300 people. I gave their small presentation, and it was at the end. I spoke with the facilitator at the break. I would like to hold this seminar with 300 people, like to come for this seminar, but I don't believe it's possible. And she told me, imagine you're already here on the stage that it's happening, and I did. And what happened is that only a few months after that, maybe 3, 4 months, it happened. I had my seminar with 400 people, packed room, and high energy. Everybody was amazed. I was amazed. How did it happen? Like in just such a short period, how did it happen? After that, many, many more. We had seminars with more than 10,000 people in the next 2, 3 years. And all my colleagues from Toastmasters and so on were so amazed, like how we just started giving speeches. So that was a perfect example, looking back, of a timeline shift. I was not aware of that at that moment, how it happened. But looking back, and of course, what helped me back then, just as a confession, was what Tony Robbins was teaching at that time, like getting into the state, which is a more raw but more gross way of actually changing the timeline and actually changing your identity. But of course, in the meantime, we developed it at a much more subtle level, because from that place, it's, of course, it still keeps you in the ego, uh, even if it works to some degree. So I won't go too much into the details, right? Like the theory, how it works. You'll find it in the workbook. I would like us to, if you'd like, to go to the activation. So just to recap before we do that, we have this calling, right? Our current identity does not reflect that. So we're trying to solve life, we're trying to find clarity, to fulfill our mission, to get clients and so on from an identity that is not aligned. So we have two options: trying harder and to push to find new strategies, to get more coaches, clients, courses, and so on, right? Which we saw. It actually makes it even more difficult. We put more emphasis, we give more power to the problem. The other option, or the same, is trying to heal ourselves, which is the same paradigm, right? The other option is to choose our heart calling, our true identity, our higher self identity, and to live from this space, right? And then it's like we have this symbol, right? So we expand, we connect with our true identity, with our higher self, and we can do that in meditation. We are multidimensional beings, so we have this capacity. But then we have the subconscious, where is the ego, all the beliefs. Of course, they will come up, right? They won't let us be there all the time. But we need to learn how to alchemize this. We'll have to learn how to expand the capacity of the nervous system as well. So the idea is to align with this version of ourselves, and then to embody that frequency into our bodies, into our nervous system, into our belief systems, into our emotions. So it's a totally different approach. I think Olivia was saying, from the top down, not from the up pushing up, right? So it's a totally different approach, and it's I would say it takes less effort, but it's not very comfortable for our ego, because our ego will revolt, right? Our ego has the purpose to keep us stuck in the old identity. It feels it will die if we expand, if we change our who we think we are, our beliefs, and so on. How is it landing for you so far? Does it resonate? Does it make sense? Yeah, yeah, resonates a lot. Good, amazing, amazing. Yeah, and why is it so hard to change actually? To Because as we'll see when we do it in meditation, the ascension process, uh, we feel the alignment, we feel what is this version of ourselves, but our old identity is like what happens is in the how it feels in the body when we try to change is like overcoming an addiction. We are so because it generates, or our current identity generates certain chemistry in our bodies, our beliefs, our emotions, the energy, the loops, all the things, the story that we're telling ourselves over and over, day by day, it creates a certain chemistry. So we are addicted to feeding that energy. Like a drug addict needs the dose to feed with the same reactions. And when we're trying to expand, of course, there will be some things coming up. But we'll talk more about that next week. Now I would like to invite you to do the activation, and it's called the soul mission visioning process, where we'll connect with our true heart, with our deep heart, and we'll go to a place which is beyond the thinking mind, right? Because only then we can actually discover, remember what we came with our intention, what our hearts actually longs for. And then we'll see what is the correspondent identity. This is important. What is the correspondent identity to that calling? We see how our life, our mission, how it looks like. But then, what is the identity, the higher self identity? Elena, too, how you're saying, to connect with Elena, too. But I would say your higher self, right? Because it's not a linear progression. Before, I used to call it also you 2.0, but it's actually your unique vibration. So it's not a progressive improvement of who you are. It's the truth of who you are. So there's no effort to it. There's no improvement. You already are this version of yourself, right? So we need to identify, to remember what this version feels like, thinks, believes, carry herself or himself, and so on. And then I'll guide you what are the next steps, because this week we'll work with this, we'll create a higher self manifesto in order to continue the process and to make this transformation. Okay, so are you ready to have this process, maybe 10, 15 minutes?